In this video, we're going to be working with equations that have more than one type of a variable in it. You can see right here we've got an m and an m both. These are called literal equations. Formulas are also literal equations, so we often use formulas like A is equal to 1/2 base times height, so that's an area formula, but you can see we have three variables. And we might want to solve, say, for the h, and figure out what h is equal to. Often when you're working in science or maybe in another math class, you might want to do that. It might make the rest of the problem easier. All right, so there's some steps here, and I'll just step through them down here. So let's look at example 1. First thing you want to do is you want to spot. You see it says solve this equation for m. So I want to spot where the m is, and is there more than one of them? Well, there is just the one m right there. So according to my steps, I want to move all the terms of that variable to one side of the equation. Okay, well, it's on one side. And then move anything that isn't that variable to the other side. Now, keep in mind, this whole thing is a term, so the 2 is pretty tightly attached. And again, I'm going to be using reverse PEMDAS. So when I undo an equation, I'm going to start with the addition and subtraction first. So I'm going to start by adding the 5n to both sides to remove it from the m over here. So now what it's going to say is it's going to say 5n, oops, n, kind of looks like that, plus 4 is equal to 2m. All right, so the m term is now on one side by itself. So now to isolate the m, I will need to divide both sides by 2. So I'm going to do this, and my final answer will be that m is equal to 5n plus 4 all over 2. We're going to leave this, and we'll do this in class next time. So now let's go down, and again, I want to try and do some that are more different from each other. So I'm going to come over and do B next. All right. So again, this time you see these variables have the little sub s, so V sub f minus V sub I, and often in physics you'll have a term for velocity. V would be velocity. And this represents the initial velocity. So it's just a single number represented this way. And I don't know if this was force or whatever is a velocity with a force. Not real sure, but this is a different type of velocity. This might be time and acceleration. We'll just go there for that. But notice that it says it wants you to solve for V sub f. So find it in your problem. And that is right there. All right, so I want to, it's already, there's just one of them, and it's on a side, the right side. So I want to undo that, everything else, and move it. So take a look at this. And I've got several things that are over here with it, the t and the v sub I right there. And I need to move them. If I'm using reverse PEMDAS, remember it's understood in a fraction that this is grouped. So this is going to be our very last thing to take care of. The first thing I'm going to take care of then is the division. So to undo this divide by t, I am going to multiply by t on both sides of the equation. So that's going to then give me at is equal to, here these are going to cancel. It's going to leave me with a 1 in the denominator. So I'm going to have v sub f minus V sub I. All right, so that was the first thing. I have to do it in that order. The next thing I'm going to want to do then is to get rid of the V sub I. And since it's subtracted to undo it, I'm going to add it to both sides. All right, so now none of these are like terms, so I can't combine anything. So I have an A times T plus V sub I is equal to V sub f. And now I have it solved. I know what v sub f is equal to in terms of the other two variables. And let's do one last one. Let's do this one here where I've got a fraction in there. I could, again, you see the f, I'm solving for f, which is right here. It's inside the parentheses. I could distribute to get it out of the parentheses, but that would be really, really ugly. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 9/5. So my 9/5 are going to cancel, and that's going to leave me with 9/5 c is equal to, now I can remove my parentheses, f minus 32. Then to finish up solving, I need to add 32 to both sides, and that will give me 9/5 c plus 32 is equal to f. So we're going to finish up those other two. We'll do those in class as a group next class. So remember to now move on over and do your video check.